So hi folks, and welcome back to the vlog. This week we have the fab Claire Henley. Hello Claire.
Hello.
Great to have you here. She's going to give us her 3 pro tips on what she knew when she was starting out. So we're going to crack straight in, if we may, with turning up. Now this is one of my favorites. How often do I say this in my book? Turn up for work, and you're brilliant at it. Talk me through that.
Well, I always feel like I'm ready to turn up as soon as I put my painting apron on. That's sort of a good tool. There's a line in a Hugh Grant film which is "Inspiration is for amateurs," and I think that's always been my sort of byword, because I think if you sit around all day waiting for inspiration to come, you're going to be sitting there a damn long time. So sit down and paint, and it doesn't have to be brilliant. It might be brilliant, it might be rubbish, you might have to paint over it the following day, or you might never sell it, but just keep on painting, because with every painting you do, you're learning new things and getting better.
It's interesting because in my music business days, I always remember the ABBA guys who sat down and worked, and they would turn up at 9 o'clock every morning and go home at 5 o'clock at night, and they would just work. And each day they reckon they got about 20 seconds worth of usable music throughout that day. God. On average, but they turned up morning and noon and night, and they did what they did. That was their living. They turned up for their job, and they just sat there with a pen waiting. So I guess it's a similar thing. It's
probably a similar thing, and you know, you just can't always be brilliant, and don't beat yourself over the head if you're not brilliant. But another thing that ties in with this is being prepared to have, you know, you've got all your equipment. You've got to have your equipment. There's no point in inspiration striking and you haven't got any titanium white and the shops are shut, you know, and nothing's going to be delivered for 3 days. So I always have a little list going in when I'm getting low on certain paints, and I scribble them in a list book and then order everything together. So you're ready, and that when my paintings are finished, I mean, you know this, I've got a stack of frames and I get them pre-made, and because I work to certain square sizes, I get my frames made in advance. And you know, if the end customer doesn't like the frame, they don't have to have it, but it means you can finish your painting, varnish it, pop it in a frame, and it can go without a sort of 2 or 3 week wait while the framer's doing their thing.
And while we're on that subject, are you a go-backer? I know some of my painters who just can't stop going back to a paint. Once it's done, is it done for you?
You can't go back to it if you've packed it up and sent it off.
Brilliant. So there's the key, folks.
That's the key. But I never pack something off and send it off at the end of the day. I'll finish a painting, I'll go to bed, I'll come back and I'll look at it in the morning, because there's usually something that just needs fiddling. You know, recently I found out I'd spelt my name wrong when I was signing it, so that was pretty fundamental. Had to correct that, but it's always worth another little look in the morning, because sometimes a painting that you're really not happy with when you leave it at 5:30 and go and make your tea, you come back to it in the morning and you think, oh actually,
not half bad.
That's not half bad. I'm happy with that. And obviously the reverse happens too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think, oh dear me.
Yeah, that happened quite a lot with me when I was writing music. You would go, what was I thinking?
Yes, oh please.
Okay, great. Number 2 for you is tribe, your tribe.
Yes. Oh God, this is so important. And you know, painting is an isolating business. You're sitting there on your own, and you can probably go mad if you're not careful. So I have fantastic little groups of friends. They're not all in a great big mass of friends. They're little Facebook groups, or they might be my little arty gathering around here. I've got 4 or 5 artists living very locally. And these are the people who you can get in touch with for all manner of reasons. And they equally expect to get in touch with you if you or they are having a bad day and you're painting like a one-legged donkey, you know, with an eye patch you really can't manage and you just need a bit of support, or you need to borrow something, or a gallery has approached you and you've no idea who they are, you've never heard of them. And
so these, when you talk about your tribe, they're all artists, they're not just individuals. Right,
they're
okay.
all artists, not necessarily painters, you know, they might be ceramicists or photographers, but they're people that you can contact and say, I need to have something printed, and you know, have you heard of this lot? And they're a support mechanism, really. And you have a laugh, obviously. But you know, when you approached me, I'll tell you this now, I'd never heard of you because I'd sort of morphed from being an illustrator into being a gallery painter, but I hadn't a gallery at that stage. You approached me, I panicked and thought, I don't know who this person is.
Who the hell is that?
Who the hell is he? So I looked at the list of artists you represented, and I didn't know any of them either. I mean, really, I was piggy.
Wow.
And yeah, really, because when I'd been a children's book illustrator,
yeah, of course,
I didn't know anything at all. This is about 10 years ago. So I found Robin Mason, and I looked at his biography, and I saw that he lived not far away from here. And I thought, oh, this could be my friend Robin, he can tell me all about this. So I messaged him and said, you don't know me, help me here, you know, who is this bloke in Porto, and is he a crook?
Yeah,
and
he certainly looks like one.
And I got some really good feedback from Robin.
Brilliant.
So I was able to say to you, yes, you know, I'm happy. So we've got.
And do you find when you approach people, I was talking to Jenny about this as well, do you find when you approach people, most of the time they're really forthcoming and very helpful?
They are. Really, we owe it to each other. We're all in it together. And I feel that myself. I get approached a lot by friends and people I've never met before, but the minute you put yourself out on social media, you're very accessible, so people do question you, and I'm happy for them to do that. This is going to bring a flood on, but
suddenly everybody wants
you can sort of tell the ones who just can't be bothered to look up things themselves, because the information is mostly
exactly. No, I agree with you. Just for everybody out there, don't just pour out to other people. Do your homework first. Try and find what you can, and if you really can't find it, or like Claire just said, if you don't know anybody who knows somebody, only then do it. Otherwise you'll bombard everybody with everything.
And please goes down very well as well.
Yes. I can't say that enough when in my book as well, the same thing. You wouldn't believe some of the approaches I get from people. Let's go on to marketing. I'd love to get onto this marketing one. Now, I know you are really good at this. Folks, if you want to see how it's done, go and see Claire's page. She turns up every day, just like we were talking about. She posts great stuff. She finds things to post. She's very generous with her time and everything else. And she is there every time. And this is why she's become so popular. So you do all this. What drives, what is it? Do you enjoy it, or is it a job?
I enjoy it. It can be a chore. It can be a chore. I mean, I got myself into quite a pickle back in lockdown when I had got not a lot to show and we were all stuck in our houses. And I started I thought this would be a good way to recycle old paintings online. So I started the sort of virtual bus tour, and every day we would pretend to be off to somewhere that I'd painted, and I'd talk about that place. And
brilliant.
You know, I got quite exhausted by that because I had to be upbeat every day.
Bus tours are exhausting.
And we'd be talking about sandwiches and what we were going to do when we got there. Of course, I wasn't going anywhere apart from the end of the road. But I got a lot of feedback. I sold prints because of it, and cards, and people went to my Etsy shop. And you know, I think I've mentioned that, don't I? Should we go back? Just go quickly back to the beginning and say, I started off before I had a gallery at all, and I wasn't confident at all about being a gallery artist. I started showing my stuff locally and standing behind a £10 street stall, you know, in the freezing cold, and showing people my work and trying to sell it. And oh God, I've been through it, I can tell you. Entering open studios, which is a brilliant way of meeting more of your tribe locally. People come to your house or to a shared space like a church hall or whatever. You show your stuff, you talk to people, and you're just becoming more visible, because you can't just stay in your studio or your wherever you paint and never show your work, not if you want to make any money anyway. You just sort of got to get out there about, a bit. And art fairs, that's another option. It's a very expensive option. You can spend a lot of money on.
But going back to your cards and your prints and everything, you're still a great exponent of them, even though you're making
I am, and I know that some gallery painters think that that is commercial horribleness. And I understand completely that it probably is, but I like anybody who's got £1 in their pocket to be able to buy a piece of art, and it might just be on a card, and that's all they can afford, and I want them to be able to afford that. I don't want them to be thinking I can never afford an original painting, so I can't have anything. So I like to, and it is extra work. It's extra work for me, but with the cards, I get them printed locally, and my details are on the back. So not only are you connecting with the person who's buying it, you're connecting with the person who it's being sent to, and their friend who might pick it up on their mantelpiece, you know. So it's like almost like a business card that's being paid for by somebody else and distributed.
And I guess it's growing the legend too, isn't it? So it's you're being out there, your name is there, people are seeing you all the time, and then on top of that, when they can afford one, or when they grow into the fact that they desperately want to get one, it's such a prized possession because they've been seeing it so much before.
Yes, I get people buying prints who say, well, these will have to do for now, and then I am going to buy an original, you know, when I move into my house, or when I do this, that, and the other. And I'm sure they do. Just, I know we're running out of time probably, but just to mention licensing as well, which is another way. I mean, everybody paints beautiful pictures. You sell your original and it's goodbye to that, and you've lost your opportunity to make any money from it. This is going to sound totally heartless and money grab.
No, it's good. It's all business, and this is really important.
I don't mean it to be. But every year I go to the spring fair at the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham, and I go up and down the, this is when I'm not eating cake with my friends from my tribe. I look at all the card publishers, the print publishers, the people who are making mugs and melamine trays and cushions and, you know, blah-de-blah. And if you think, my art might look okay on that, you know, because that they've already got something there that actually looks not dissimilar to mine. So let's ping them an email. And if you go on the website, if you go on a card publisher's website, there's usually a little thing at the top saying artists. You click on that and it gives you information on how to submit your images.
And when they license them, do they license them for a specific period of time?
It depends on the company, and they'll have their own policies, and you'll get a contract. Sometimes you'll get, I mean, the most usual one is probably a worldwide publishing deal for an image for a card, which doesn't mean you can't use it for a cushion cover or whatever. So for a card for 3 years, and the sum is usually about £250. So you're making £250 from something you've already painted. But you have to have a good image of it. So I do often get things that I'm quite pleased with and I think are going to have a market beyond the original. I'll get scanned professionally. If it's going to be for a big print or something like that. If it's just for cards, you can actually get by with your iPhone. You know, the quality stands still. And it's got to be the highest resolution you can manage, and keep records of everything, because I've actually got a spreadsheet that was set up for me.
Brilliant. You're singing from my hymn sheet. This is what my book tells people. It's one of the last things I did was databases,
oh my
databases,
God. I
databases.
started off with pencil and like rules, and and my friend came around and she said, stop that right now. And she set me up this spreadsheet. So I know, and I give all my paintings a code number as well.
Brilliant.
There's no point in calling them all agapanthus.
And you can find who bought them in an instant, you know, who got it, where they are.
I don't know that.
Brilliant.
Because you never tell me.
Well, this has been fantastic, Claire. Thanks so much for this. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who appreciate it, especially with the residuals, because they are really super important
there's a
for
lot more
artists.
to talk about that if you want to do another thing on licensing one.
Yeah, we might well go down the road of that one, because I think licensing and copywriting we should talk about at a later date. But for now, brilliant. Thanks for those fantastic tips, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks for coming in.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Claire.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.